Good morning, dear students. In today's session, we will be discussing the topic drowning. Already, you have learned about hemorrhage. The second topic is drowning. So, the same topic is already discussed in accidents and its prevention, and also when we discussed the growth and development of various age groups. In that area, also, I have told regarding drowning, and you have written notes, I think, but it's this particular topic is independently given in your syllabus, so that's why we will be discussing now drowning. So what is drowning is, it is a process resulting in primary respiratory impairment from submersion in a liquid medium. Implicit in this definition is that a liquid air interface is present at the entrance to the victim's airway, which prevents the individual from breathing oxygen. So, this is the main problem in drowning. So, here there is an relation, or there is an interface is happening between the water and the airway, and water is entering in the airway so that the child is not able to get adequate airway, or oxygen is not breathing is not properly doing, so the child is not getting adequate amount of oxygen because of the entry of water in the respiratory tract. Outcome are delayed mobility, delayed or rapid death, or life without mobility. So some children may get, after some time they will be getting the complications or disease condition, or some children rapid death can occur or delayed death can occur, or in some minor drowning there will be life without mobility, and it is known as near drowning. So the child is surviving after submersion in the water. That is known as near drowning. If the child is dying because of drowning, then it is known as drowning. So that is about the drowning and near drowning. Near drowning, child is escaping from the morbidity and death of the child, and the drowning if the child is dying after submersion in the water. So this is the definition by World Congress on Drowning in 2002. Next, regarding the etiology of drowning. So drowning may be a primary event, like it can happen independently, like a pool, or in a pond, or in a bucket of water. Anything can be a source of water, can be a reason for drowning as a primary event, or maybe secondary to events such as, like after seizure, after head or spine trauma, cardiac arrhythmias, hypothermia, alcohol and drug ingestion, then syncope, apnea, hyperventilation, suicide, hypoglycemia. In these all conditions, after these all conditions, child may get drowning if there is any nearby water sources there. So, as a primary event or as a secondary to any other event, this drowning can occur. So in infants, usually the venue can be a bathtub or bucket of water, and victim may drown like within a brief period of without child adult supervision. During this a brief period of without adult supervision, it can leads to drowning. So it can happen in a bucket of water or bathtub. And in children 1 to 5 years, residential swimming pools can be a common venue for drowning. The next is young adults aged 15 to 19 years. Like they may drown in ponds, lakes, rivers, and oceans. And usually in this age, if they consumed any alcohol, any other recreational drugs, or uh, any other drugs, again the chance of getting drowning increases. And after natural disasters, there is a chance of drowning in any age group, and all age group are susceptible for any type of drowning if it is not taken care properly. So these are the common causes of drowning in different age groups. Next is classification. So warm water injury can occur, like warm water drowning occurs at what temperature of 20 degrees Celsius or higher. If we are submerged in a water more than 20 degrees Celsius, then it is a warm water injury. Cold water injury, like cold water drowning, occurs at water temperatures of less than 20 degrees Celsius. Another classification is submersion occurred such as fresh water or salt water, or natural bodies of water versus man-made water. So these are the classification of three type of classification of drowning, like warm water injury, cold water injury, submersion occurred in fresh water or salt water, and submersion uh, in natural bodies of water versus man-made. Okay, so this is the classification of drowning. Next we can see the pathophysiology of drowning. So there is chance of when the child is inside the water or submerged in the water, there is involuntary gasp. That means aspiration of water into the hypopharynx can occur. Some amount of water can enter as a result of this involuntary gasp. And when this is reaching the laryngeal region, it can lead to laryngospasm. That is parasympathetically mediated laryngospasm can occur. And if it is dry or wet, dry can happen in 10 to 15 percentage and wet can happen in 85 percentage. Dry means there is airway obstruction that is leading to because of laryngospasm, and wet means aspiration is happening and there will be fluid collection in the airway. So this dry means spasm is occurring in the airway, there is no entry of water. That is only in 10 to 15 percentage laryngospasm can cause dry laryngospasm, or wet laryngospasm or wet drowning can occur, especially when there is water is entering in the or aspirated in the airway. And this both condition, if dry laryngospasm is occurring and the person is going for dry lungs, that is no water entered in the respiratory tract, or in wet, that is by crossing the laryngospasm some amount of water is getting inside the lungs. In both condition, what happen is cerebral hypoxia, because the child is not able to get adequate amount of oxygen, leads to cerebral hypoxia, acidosis, and also there is chance of getting cardiac arrest. And there will be brain injury or brain death because of this respiratory difficulty as a result of water entering or water not entering. Water not entering means because of laryngospasm, closing the larynx, no entry of air into the respiratory tract, or wet, again laryngospasm will be there, and plus in that condition water has entered the air lungs, so that this aeration is not happening, blood is not perfused with adequate oxygen, leads to vital organs like brain or heart is not getting adequate amount of purified or pure blood, and leads to brain injury, cardiac arrest, and brain death of the child. So this is about the pathophysiology of drowning. So we will continue pathophysiology. In drowning accident, the two things can happen, that is respiratory arrest and cardiac arrest. So a child submerged in water initially hold breath. So when we are submerged in water, initially we will be trying to hold the breath. As a result, heart rate slows, and as a part of this diving reflex, and if the process continues, hypoxia and tachycardia can be there, and eventually the child will breathe. So in that breathing, inhalation of water can happen to the glottis, and there will be laryngospasm, and as a result of this laryngospasm, again secondary apnea can happen, and it is lead to dry drowning. So this is the one way of explaining this dry drowning. And in remaining cases, there will be secondary apnea will be there, and because of the secondary apnea, what happens is this laryngeal spasm will be disappearing. And when the laryngeal spasm, this constriction in the laryngeal area, it is disappearing, there will be involuntary respiration. So water and debris will be entering into the lungs, and more hypoxic, acidotic and terminal bradycardia, arrhythmia and cardiac arrest. So this is what is happening in wet drowning and dry drowning. So dry drowning, there will be laryngospasm and leads to dry drowning. And when the secondary apnea is continuing, there will be disappearance of laryngeal spasm, and again the water will be getting inside. So again the child will go for hypoxia and cardiac arrest. So that is the wet drowning. So dry drowning, water is not entered in the lungs. Wet drowning, child will get aspiration of the water and other debris or any other matter which is present in the water into the lungs. So hope you understood the pathophysiology. Thank you.